Hi kiddos, in this video I am going to be doing your math lesson for today. So far in math this week we have been learning all about telling time. On Monday we worked on recognizing time to the hour, so 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Then on Tuesday we started working on telling time to the half hour. And remember we talked about how there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So 30 minutes past the hour would be halfway past the hour or halfway around our clock, and we would say 30. So we could say 2:30, 9:30, 8:30. We could also say half past 2, half past 9, half past 10, or 30 minutes out after. So we have a few different ways that we can say time to the half hour. So now what we're going to do is start looking at patterns in time and saying, okay, if it's 2 o'clock now, what time will it be in 2 hours? Or if my math class starts at 9:30 and it's a half hour long, what time will it be done? So we're going to look at those patterns in time, okay? So if you open up your book today, we are on this page here, which is 573, okay? And at the top of 573, it says Lesson 15.3, Time Patterns. The clocks show time when classes begin. What are the time patterns for the classes? So these digital clocks here say dance classes. And it looks like the first dance class starts at 12:30. So I'm going to make my clock here say 12:30. So I move my hour hand around the clock. So now my hour is 12, and I come down to the 12:30. So remember, at 12:30, this hour hand is going to be between the 12 and the 1 because we're halfway past the 12 o'clock hour, and then right down over the 6 to the 30 minutes. So the first dance class starts at 12:30. The next dance class starts at 1 o'clock. So we have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes that have gone by, or a half of an hour. And then the next dance class says it starts at 1:30. So now we're in the 1 o'clock, oops, sorry, I bumped that, the 1 o'clock hour, and we come around 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So now we're at 1:30. So you can see that the dance classes are happening every 30 minutes or every half hour. So the dance classes are a half an hour long, and each half hour a new dance class starts, okay? So the pattern for the dance classes is there's a class every half hour. Now we can look at the analog clocks here. It's showing swim class, and it says the first swim class, this clock is pointing to 12 o'clock. So let's back our clock up here, back to 12 o'clock. And remember, at 12 o'clock, the hour hand and the minute hand are pointing straight up. So that's the first swim class. And it says the next swim class starts at 1 o'clock. So from 12 to 1 entire hour has gone by. Okay, so that swim class was 1 hour long. And now we look at the next swim class begins at 2. So from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, another whole hour has gone by. So swim classes are 1 hour long, and there's a swim class every hour. Okay, so now it says here, the time for dance classes is shown in a half hour pattern. The times for swim classes are shown in an hour pattern. Okay, so now we're going to go down where it says practice, and it says match the time to the time pattern. Sorry, match each time pattern to the type of pattern. I said that wrong. So looking at the digital clocks here, we have from 6:30 to 7:30 to 8:30. Now, don't get confused and think, oh, I see 30, so it's half hour pattern. Well, no, because what that's saying is we're going from 6:30, which looks like this, and then the next time is not 30 minutes later, 7. It's 60 minutes later, 7:30. So a whole trip around the clock. And then from 7:30 to 8:30, we have to take a whole trip around the clock. So going from 6:30 to 7:30 is not just a half an hour, it's a whole hour, okay? So we're going to draw a line from these digital clocks down to B where it says hour. That's an hour pattern from 6:30 to 7:30 to 8:30 to 9:30. A whole hour goes by. Now let's look at our analog clocks. So we have 1 o'clock to 1:30. Well, we know that looking at our clock, if it's 1 o'clock, okay, if it's 1 o'clock and we go down 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, that's 30 minutes or a half of an hour. Then we're going to 2 o'clock, which would be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 more minutes or another half an hour. So those clocks are moving in half-hour patterns. So you can draw a line from these clocks up to A, half-hour patterns. Okay? Excellent. Let's move now to the next page. So for you, you turn the page. And it says here, complete each time pattern and circle to show the type of pattern. So right here, they just want us to write down the time. So this one is a 10 is our hour, and then we have double zeros, which we know means o'clock. So this one is 10 o'clock. You can put 10 o'clock there. The next one is 11 o'clock, so you can put 11 there. And then this one says 12 o'clock. So thinking about our analog clock, if we're at 10 o'clock, which would be like this, 10 o'clock, and then we move to 11, to get to 11 o'clock, we have to go all the way around. And then to get to 12, we have to go all the way around. So it's one whole hour that's going by. So from 10 to 11 to 12, that's an hour pattern. So you can circle hour. Now let's look at these analog clocks here. The first one is 3 o'clock. So let me set my clock to 3 o'clock. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. And we can put 3 there for 3 o'clock. Now this next one, our hour hand is between the 3 and 4, and our minute hand is straight down. So now we are looking at 3:30. So you can put your 3:30 there. And now they want us to fill in the next clock. Well, going from 3 to 3:30 is a half an hour. So to go from 3:30, another half of an hour would be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, which looking at this clock, another half an hour would be 4 o'clock. So you're going to draw your hands on your clock to look like mine. Your short hand, your hour hand, should be pointing to the 4. And your long hand, your minute hand, should be pointing straight up to the 12. And then here you should put 4 o'clock. And that is a half an hour pattern going from 3 to 3:30 to 4. So circle half hour. Okay? All right, let's go down now to the problem solving question. It says Haley starts class at 9 o'clock. Okay, so let's make my clock say 9 o'clock. Haley starts class. Excellent. And it says she has history class at 10 o'clock. Okay, so 10 o'clock would be one whole hour later. If the pattern continues, when is Haley's next class? Okay, so if we're looking at an hour later pattern, let's make our clock go a whole hour later. Her next class would be 11 o'clock. Excellent. So right here on the line, go ahead and write 11 o'clock. And number 6 says, how is a half-hour pattern different than an hour pattern? Well, that's a silly question because the answer is in the question. A half-hour pattern goes every 30 minutes. An hour pattern goes every 60 minutes. Okay? All right, let's look at the top of the next page. At the beginning here, it's just another review of those half-hour and hour patterns. And now let's see if we can match the time patterns to the type of pattern that we see. So we've got from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock. If you said hour pattern, you are correct. So you can draw a line from the clocks there to letter B, the hour pattern. 2, we have 8, then 8:30, then 9. That's a half-hour pattern. So you can draw a line from A to those digital clocks. Now here it says complete the time pattern. So from 3 to 3:30 to 4 o'clock. Go ahead and write those in. And moving on to the back of that page, it says complete each time pattern and circle the type of pattern. So the first one they've kind of done for you. We went from 9 o'clock to 9:30 to 10 o'clock. Well, we see that o'clock, 30, o'clock, we know that's 30-minute increments or half hours. So once you trace those and draw the hands on your 10 o'clock clock, you can circle half hours. And just to remind you, 10 o'clock, your hour hand would be pointing to your 10, and your minute hand would be pointing straight up above the 12. And then looking at number 2 here, we have 10:30, 11:30, 12:30 would be our next time. So we've got put a 10 there, and then half past 11, and then 12:30. And those are hours. Even though it's 10:30, 11:30, and 12:30, we're moving a whole loop around the clock. So it's a whole hour going by. So it's an hour pattern. And the problem solving says, Ella paints a picture every half hour. Jillian paints a picture every hour. So who spends more time painting 3 pictures? Tell how you know. Well, we know that a half hour is 30 minutes. So if she's painting 3 pictures, that would be 30 plus 30 plus 30, which would give us 90. Now, Jillian paints a picture every hour. Okay, so she has to spend an hour. So that's 60 plus 60 plus 60, which is 180 minutes. So we know that Jillian spends more time painting because she's spending a whole hour, not just a half an hour. Okay? And then number 4 says, tell how the minutes are different in a half hour than in an hour. Well, in a half hour, it's 30 minutes, and in an hour, it's 60 minutes. Okay? All right, boys and girls, I hope that this lesson is making some sense to you. I hope that you're working on telling time at home. If you have a paper plate at home, you can ask mom or dad first, but you can use a paper plate because it's round, and you can draw the numbers on a paper plate like this. And then if you want to cut out of either another paper plate or some paper and make the hands, you can make your own clock at home and practice moving the hands on the clock the way I move the hands on this one. Since we're not in the classroom and I can't hand you out each your own little clocks, you can practice making a clock at home and practice telling time. Or maybe if you have a clock on the wall, you can look up at the clock every now and then and ask your parents, hey, is it this time? And get better at telling time, okay? So nice work today, boys and girls. I look forward to working more with you on time in the next couple of days. See you later. Bye.